from the championship leader in the Aston Martin as he heads into no name corner. The fast downshift 1 gear and flat on the power again. Liam Doherty not improving. JTK also not improving, so they're going to stay in P3 and P4. Voight-Louvre, Exotic, Ben Huskins all still on laps as well, with Bove, Nenchev both on laps to challenge and improve their position to get within the top 10. That's a big mistake from Raxi there, surely, on the curves. I don't think he might finish this lap, but see if he's improving anyway as he heads to the right-hander of Stavlo. Got a lot of curb at Las Fagnes, and yeah, 14,000th down. So, into the final section then. Can he improve anything? Oh, Seth Martin has been disqualified from the session. That's going to put him to the back of the grid. There we go. So, Seth Martin, far from ideal qualifying session for him as Raxi coming through the final chicane. Has he found any time in the final chicane? That's the main corner to improve at. DRS wide open and turn line we go. He does improve by 27 thousandths of a second. And Raxi puts it even further up at the top. The championship leader on pole position once again. Can Ben Huskins improve on his position to try and challenge for the front 2 rows in the Mercedes? He keeps it with only a 10th and a bit improvement in P7. As it's pretty decent lap from him, actually. As he said he was going to struggle today, but still within a good shot. Or maybe a podium today, so let's see what he can do in the race. But decent lap from him so far. But Raxi, what a shock. Raxi versus Funderino. The race is on. It's lights out and away we go. Raxi gets away well from Funderino as well into turn number 1. He pulls way ahead. Raxi into the lead of the Grand Prix like we thought he would. Seth Martin spun at the back of the pack already and has been disqualified from the session. But Raxi got away pretty well. Now he heads up Eau Rouge to the top of Radion. Funderino right on the back of him already though. Here we go. Can he get through with that slipstream on the route down the Kemmel Straight into Lacombe? Can he make a move? He pulls to the inside line. Can Chrissy Spilicoris make a dive on Raxi? He just can't, as I think behind Voices Luva, he tried to make a move on Liam Doxey now all the way down in P7 after that little bit of an error at Lacombe. But heading into Avage, it's Raxi who leads the way. 3-10 to Funderino, 4-10 to Liam Doherty, JTK, Exotic, Ben Huskins, Voices Louvre after dropping back, Icky Robbo, Antonio Bove, then Sneaky Guy, he's currently making a move on Lubomir Nenchev under pressure for P10, the final points place from Funderino is in behind. I think that's all sorts of carnage with the Alpine of Antonio Bove. He's making a double move, not just on Icky Robbo, on Voices Louvre as well. He pulled into turn 1, round the outside of Icky Robbo, and Antonio Bove flies into position number 7 in the points well. And so far this season, it's going quite well for him. He's been pretty consistent in the points scoring positions. But Antonio Bove into P7, it's been a good start. Only on lap 2, but still climbing that ladder. So far, Raxi, he's getting overtaken by Funderino, his championship nemesis, as he pulls into that race lead with the DRS, both on the medium compounder tyres. But Funderino leads the Grand Prix as Liam Doherty, he's kept JTK at bay. He's actually gapped him by a second as JTK under pressure from Ben Huskins. Ben Huskins going around the outside, and with the inside line, it's Exotic still going side by side and pulls it off, does Ben Huskins, as we head into no name curve. As we head onto the Kemmel Straight, he pulls out, and can Liam Doherty actually put that pressure on as well as we head on the route into Lacombe. The Kicksauber cannot, and in behind it going 3 wide with Exotic, JTK both flying through on Ben Huskins as we head into Lacombe. It's Exotic who gets into P4, but now the 1.7 seconds behind Liam Doherty, and that might have been a big error from going 3 wide there. But Ben Huskins demoted all the way down to P6 under pressure now from Antonio Bove. As we head past Kemmel onto the Kemmel Straights, as the Aston Martin pulling well ahead. Can Antonio Bove also put a bit of pressure on as we head into Lacombe? He absolutely can't, too far behind. But JTK pulling nicely ahead and into P4 for the first time in this Grand Prix. Lovely stuff from himself. Ben Huskins still on the back of this train as well. As in behind, Voices Louvre on the harder compound tyres. He's under pressure, keeping these guys at bay. Sneaky Guy, Ikirobo, Lubomir Nenchev and Nivek all in this train for P8. But here we go then, JTK. Oh, we've got a VSC, and I think that's Isaiah Jarvis out of the session at Rivage. Not ideal for him when the VSC goes green once again, like his Kicksauber. As we were just speaking about him, commentator's curse. But that's a drive-through penalty for Liam Doherty. I thought he went a bit too early as he was heading down Puon. That's a major, major incident there, and that's definitely going to deny him any chance of a podium unless he's a late safety car. But that's a huge mistake from Liam Doherty, who's already under pressure from JTK Exotic, Antonio Bove, and Ben Huskins in this fight for P3. But now, huge, huge error from Liam Doherty, who gets a drive-through penalty, and will have to serve that in the next 3 laps, and that might just cost him any shots of a great point-scoring opportunity. But yeah, struggled already at the end of this first stint, and now JTK going to be opting for that move. So is Exotic, so is Antonio Bove, all flying through. Antonio Bove go for another move as you head round the outside. Now we've got a bit of rain action in Belgium. This is going to be a huge factor now. It's spitting hills. That's a big slide from Antonio Bove. Ben Huskins wished for rain. He's in P7, and when people going to call it for the swap on the Inters, it's lap 7 of 22. The whole race has been blown out of proportion as we're going from dries to wets here in Belgium. We know what the weather can be like. We know it from 2021 when all that rain fell and we didn't see a racing lap. But here on the F1 game, once again, Isaiah Jarvis out of the session, now left session after that VSC earlier on. When is Thunderinho and Raxi going to pit? And what is their pace like in the wet conditions? Who's going to steal it away? DRS going to play a huge factor in this race normally when it's dry, but now switched off and not enabled when the track gets a bit too damp. But Thunderinho, then Raxi, then JTK currently in the provisional podium. Exotic now 1 second behind Liam Doherty. He's now just overtaken Antonio Bove, who's struggling in these damper track conditions. But Liam Doherty, with that drive-through as well, he's surely got to serve that at this lap, as he's going to have to pit on the next lap for intermediate compounder tyres. Everyone else coming in for inters as well. JTK staying out, so is Exotic. But Thunderinho and Raxi both opting to come in for the change on the intermediate tyres. Liam Doherty having to stay out another lap with that drive-through penalty. You'll see him drive all the way through as everyone comes in to stop, as that's Liam Doherty, a whole pit stop behind that main pack. Then that's going to hugely impact his race, as we'll head back out front. Is JTK struggling? We'll compare the lap times with him and Thunderinho and the sector times as well. Exotic still got that DRS wide open, so that might come in. That might be really helpful, to be honest. As Robbo, not even, look at him on the mediums, already getting caught up by Thunderinho. So that rain is coming down heavily and the track is very, very damp. And I tell you what, here might have a bit of an incident as Robbo, he's holding up Raxi so far. That gap is going to be over a second, and that's going to allow Thunderinho to get through. As Robbo doing that man, Thunderinho, in a massive favour there, holding him up and allowing Thunderinho to be a second and a bit clear. So huge stuff from him. JTK and Exotic do come into pit. That's going to allow Thunderinho to be clear at the front with Raxi as well. And in behind, it's going to be Ben Huskins, who's promoted into P3 now. So it's been a huge race so far for Ben Huskins. He wanted the damper conditions, as JTK might have just made a mistake there from staying out. But Ben Huskins has ran this first stint very, very well and judged the rain perfectly. Liam Doherty with that big mistake under VSC conditions. Antonio Bove struggling in the wet so far. Voiters Luva 11.4 seconds from the leader. He struggled in the first stint, but is right on the back of Antonio Bove as we head to the top of Eau Rouge and to the top of Radion, as Thunderinho 1.1 seconds clear. What's he like in the rain? We'll have to wait and see in the next few laps. There's no DRS. Oh, that's a bit of a wobble there. Very treacherous conditions, but Voices Luva opting to go for the outside line here at Lacombe. It's a beautiful move from Voices Luva. Can make this thing. He's still side by side with Antonio Bove and Voices Luva going round the outside at Malmedy. It's a fantastic move from the Ferrari, just like Oscar Piastri at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a beautiful move from Voiters Luva to get himself up to P4. It wasn't the best first stint for himself, but head held high, foot flat to the floor, and I tell you what, that was pure bravery in the wet conditions. That is why he is a former world champion. Antonio Bove under pressure now from JTK, who's flying through on the Alpine as we head on the route to Lacombe, as it's another nice move from JTK to get past Antonio Bove. But Ben Huskins, 3-second time penalty, and that'll be applied at the end of the Grand Prix. So that's not really ideal, as Lewis Piper, he's also joined the 3-second time penalty crew, But Wojciech, he's going to want to close in and keep under that 3 seconds. JTK, he's closing into the back of Wojciech as well as we head into the final chicane on these intermediate compound on this damp track. Here goes the Aston Martin on the Ferrari using that slipstream to the very last minute, pulls out and doesn't even need the braking zone to get through. Lovely move from JTK in the Aston Martin and flies through on the Ferrari of Wojciech and into P4. Now the gap 2.1 seconds to Ben Huskins. He's going to be under pressure surely soon enough. Let's see, as Raxi is just nipped under a second, but still doesn't really matter in the rain as these guys going side by side. It's Antonio Bove and Love Exotic round the outside. Antonio Bove with the inside line. They're going to be still side by side as we head on the route to Eau Rouge past turn number 2 and flying up the hill to the top of Radio. It's going to be Exotic who takes that place, but Antonio Bove is going to have the slipstream. Can he try and make a move on the route down to Lake Com on the Kemmel Straight? Can the Alpine try and get through? I don't think can. He's just going to stay behind. Very brave line in the wet conditions from JTK, who's using the battery and flying through on Ben Huskins with that exit speed and flies into the podium places. Very nice move from JTK as he's just getting quicker. He's just getting started as we've now got 8 laps of racing action to go. Oh, his voice is Luva. He's making him on Ben Huskins. Ben Huskins must have made a mistake on that lap there. 2.3 seconds is the gap to JTK. Voice is Luva easily making a move from Funderino, who needs this race win as we've got a yellow flag in sector 3 as that's Larry going off the track and into the gravel. That's another spin for the RB as he's going to have to spin it round and keep it going. He's heading to the gravel to do so. Getting on the racing line once again as Ben Huskins. That's not ideal at all. It's another 3 second time penalty. I don't think it's going to affect him anyway as Exotic. He's making a move around the outside as Ben Huskins just lets him go. But yeah, should still be able to retain P6. But that's another time penalty that might impact the end of the race if Antonio Bove does get a 3 second removal. But Ben Huskins, yeah, struggled for pace today really. Been in good positions though, and that's what's cost him really. I mean, other drivers around him, he's just been consistent as Ben Huskins today, and that's allowed him to keep P6 and still score some decent points here at Belgium, here in round 10. The gap's under 3/10 of a second. He needs a good line, does Raxi, to get the exit, to get the traction, and to maybe get into the race lead. There's 2 laps of racing action to go. He's got that little bit more overspeed this time, and he pulls to the outside line and pulls ahead as Funderino trying to go round the outside. Big slide, and that might just cost him the race win here today. But Raxi into that race lead. He's been knocking on the door for the past few laps, and after a huge mistake for Funderino, it might just cost him that race win today, but a huge move from Raxi to get into that race lead and maybe just extend his gap at the top of the championship to just 35 points. Sneaky guy, once again, after his mistake earlier on in the Grand Prix, is look at this. Funderino, on the final lap, has closed into Raxi. I didn't even notice. Under 0.5 of a second, the Alpine might just have another shot to take it away from the championship leader. Under pressure is Raxi from Funderino to try and throw anything to Raxi in this Grand Prix. And can he make a move? Can he go to the inside line? He absolutely can. On the grass, into Lake Com, down the inside. Oh, it's a collision. That's a huge collision between the pair. Raxi has a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. Funderino forced way and truly off the track. It was side by side up to Lake Com. Funderino trying to throw anything at it. And that's definitely going to be an incident that the stewards are going to have to take a look at, because Raxi and Funderino, the 2 championship challengers, coming together once again. It's definitely not the first time we've seen this, and maybe it's not the last. But Raxi and Funderino might just take this one out on track, as Funderino's got a 3 second time penalty as well, just to put matters into perspective. But Raxi, with that 10-second time penalty as well, I mean, this is going to be huge for the championship. And whose way is it going to fall? It's the final lap of racing action. It was a mega final lap from Funderino and penultimate lap to set it up as well. But Raxi and Funderino coming together for a very controversial moment for the Season 11 Formula Zero Racing Championship. as Raxi is going to come across the line on track to win this Grand Prix into the final chicane. He's led a majority of the race, so has Funderino, but the championship leader might just be set to take a point deficit as he's got that 10-second time penalty. It's all going to go to the steward's room as Funderino is going to take it without the penalties. As after a controversial moment, Funderino led a lot of laps here. JTK has won a very nice race to grab the final podium place. Voiters Luber, he's going to come across the line in the Ferrari to come across the line to get P4. Very nice stuff from the Season 6 champion Exotic with some huge points in the McLaren to grab P5 here in a wet Spa-Francorchamps. Ben Huskins takes P7 as Antonio Bove with a mega final lap. I think a mistake from Ben Huskins is into P6. So what a race for Antonio Bove to get some good points. As Lubmin Enchev gets P8, another good race from him, another good point scoring position. Iki Robbo in P9. Lewis Piper on his return to FZR. I think he might just grab the final points. He has a big drift across the line as he's just manhandling the car. The Season 5 champion on his return. Is he going to take P10? He absolutely is. Lovely stuff from Lewis Piper after coming back to the game after a long awaited return. As we'll hopefully see him in the future practicing a bit more as well. Sneaky Guy takes P11. Nivek in P12. Theo, Johnny Politics and Larry still yet to cross the line. But Funderino wins the Grand Prix